Hey, good morning. Happy Sunday. Welcome back. This is Take It to the Hizzy Fantasy Football TITTH number 137. I'm your host, Justin Bruni, but I got the whole gang with me today. I got Emron, Nick, and Leo. Happy Sunday, guys. How are we doing?
What's up, guys?
Happy Sunday. What's going on, guys? Doing good.
Good, yeah. Feeling good, feeling great. I had a big parlay last night. The Bears had a great draft, in my opinion. We're looking good coming into this year. So, feeling good. Having a great weekend so far. How's your guys' weekends going, and how did your team draft? Start with Emron. Go around.
Sure. Yeah, so weekend's good, right? Draft was a big focus this weekend. Really excited. Didn't know what the Bears were going to do. I don't know if you felt this way, Justin, but it felt kind of like a movie. The first 10 picks, every pick, I was like, don't say Justin Fields. Nobody trade up. I'm like, all right. And then when it got to pick 7, that's when it got weird because, like, okay, Lions could take it. Okay, they take Penei Sewell. Panthers, I don't think they're going to take him, but they took a corner. No one saw that happening. And Denver, I was like, Denver loaded up the secondary, but they took a corner again. And then Dallas, I was like, Dallas wasn't going to trade him, but then Dallas trades with Philly. And then I'm watching the Giants, what are the Giants going to do? And then all of a sudden, Bears have traded up. What the hell? So super pumped. And then they stole Tevin Jenkins in round 2, which is, somebody I thought they were going to get in round 1. I love the tackle they got late in round 5 too. So beefed up the O-line, added a potentially a franchise quarterback as well. So super excited. Andy Dalton is not QB1.
Agreed. We'll get into it a little bit more here with the quarterback talk early in the draft. But let's keep it going here. Nick, how are you doing? How's the weekend going, and how are the Ravens looking?
Looking really good. I was very happy that they took their wide receiver after Rashad Bateman fell to them, and they took him, and they held fast. I honestly didn't give a shit about the rest of the draft. They could have taken punters for the rest of the things, but they did really well throughout the draft. I was very excited about them. We'll definitely get more into it, but just keeping track of the draft, went to work, and was just happy with what I was seeing from the Ravens.
Right on. Leo, how are we doing? Happy Sunday, sir. How are the Cowboys looking?
Happy Sunday. The weekend was good. Draft was amazing. The Cowboys looking really good. Defensive heavy draft. I was on the edge of my seat when the Panthers were up. Then I was like, okay, cornerback, cool. We have one more left. I was like, the Broncos, they're packed on defense, packed on secondary. And I see Patrick Surtain goes to the Broncos. I was like, then our pick, we traded to Philly. And I'm like, what's going on? So, but all in all, Michael Parsons, I slept on it. I like that pick. I like the Kelvin Joseph in the second round. I'm thinking that we are stealing from the Buccaneers, piling up on backers, hoping for the best. So I'm hoping that, the defense.
When you say you slept on it, what was your initial reaction?
My initial reaction, I was mad. Like after that, I was like, all right, I'm ready to turn this thing off. I'm hoping that, hey, we can trade into, another pick and but then I slept on it. I was like, you know what? It's good. I'm trusting.
It's all right.
I'm trusting them. It's crazy.
That's all you can do. That's all you can do at some points here. That's all you can do is trust that they make the right decision and that they knew more than us, right? So, but let's dive into it though. Let's get into the draft here. We're going to start off with a quarterback discussion. Obviously, we saw Lawrence and Wilson go 1-2, everything that we expected, and then the draft really heated up when we got Trey Lance going at number 3. We saw Fields go to Chicago when they moved up to 11, and Mac Jones fell right into Bill Belichick's hands at 15. So let's kind of start it off with these guys here, and then we'll break into the rest of the draft. Obviously, just because the quarterback position is so important, obviously, in the game and in fantasy, right? So let's dive in with Trey Lance. What are your guys' expectations for him? I don't believe that, in my own opinion, he can take on the starting job by week 1. What do you guys think? And, how many games do you think he's going to start this season for the 49ers? We'll start with Emron and take it around the horn here.
Sure. So I agree. I think he's going to need a little bit of time to sit. He's only 20 years old, guys, so he's super young. From all the reports I was reading this weekend, he's a very smart guy. He understands, playbooks. You can pick him up pretty fast at such a young age. But he does have the fewest pass attempts in history for a guy that's going in the first round. So I think he will sit behind Garoppolo. I'd say he'll start probably, maybe like after week 10. I just think the writing's on the wall, and Garoppolo also can't stay healthy. So unfortunately, it's a high chance he just gets injured again. I'd love to see what Lance does in this offense. We've seen, Kyle Shanahan do some wonders with Kyle Mullins, CJ Beathard, and whatnot. So I'm excited to see him. I think he'll start probably, I'd say, the latter half of the year.
What do you think, Nick?
I think he's definitely going to be playing towards the end half of the season, maybe like 9 games. Like Emron alluded to, Jimmy can't stay healthy, so he might just be thrown into the fire. I mean, it could honestly happen week 3, like for all we know. Jimmy just doesn't have that pedigree of staying healthy throughout a season. The one time he did, they did go to the Super Bowl, but that was awesome, and they've kind of paid him for that. But, the writing is on the wall, and I think that, they're going to give Jimmy one more chance, but they have a guy right behind them, kind of ready to go that they believe that can help the team. It does a lot of zone running offense, too. Like, all you got to do is hand it off to the running back and throw some screen passes. It's not that hard of a job, and Jimmy showed it's not that hard. So I have high hopes for him, to be honest.
What do you think, Leo?
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I think he's gonna sit for a while. I'm guessing he'll probably start later in this season, probably week 11. If Jimmy he gets hurt, which he's injury prone, but I believe that they're gonna give him Jimmy one more shot. They're like, look, you have this, have a good season. Maybe we can trade you. Maybe, other teams that want you, but I think that Trey Lance. I think if he becomes a full-time starter, it would be next season where he can learn more and grow.
Gets to come in, say, hey, this is my team. Everybody kind of rallies around him a little bit. I think it's going to be a short leash for Jimmy for sure. How long it's going to be, I really don't know. I mean, 8 or 9 games sounds like a lot. Honestly, I just don't think that Lance is going to be the starter week 1. I think we could see him early on if Jimmy doesn't get it done, because you got to take a look at the weapons that they have there. Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, and then a lot of running backs, right? So, is Jimmy going to really elevate these guys, or does Trey Lance give them a better look? And I feel like it could be a situation that we saw kind of last year with Miami, where you saw a guy like Fitzgerald get pulled, even though he was actually, putting up good numbers, right? Not saying that's going to happen to Garoppolo, but I could see a scenario where they just say, hey, we want to get a look at this guy and see what he can do for us right now, because the way their defense is built, that team is ready to go right now, make a playoff run, right? So I think they might, take a stab at him at some point early on.
Yeah. And the other thing for Lance too is he has that mobility factor, which Garoppolo doesn't have.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's going to add a different level to the offense if he does get out there. So we'll see what we get out of him. Let's move on to Fields. What do we have as far as expectations for Justin Fields? Is he a week 1 starter? Over under, we'll say 8 starts. Start with Emron and go around.
Sure. I'm going to take the over because everybody this weekend has been comparing this to, this is going to be like Patrick Mahomes and Alex Smith. It's the wrong comparison. Right idea, wrong comparison. I think this is going to be a lot closer to Russell Wilson and Matt Flynn, because Alex Smith, he had been with the Chiefs for a while. They were a top 10 offense. He knew the playbook. Andy Dalton's just coming into the Bears. He doesn't know this playbook yet. He's still learning it. So they're basically starting off the same playing field. And I think, Nagy and Pace and the team aren't stupid. If Fields just looks like the guy, I think there's a shot for him to start week 1 because they're starting on the same playing field. Obviously, it looks like he needs some time. There's a reason they paid Dalton $10 million. But I'm going to say the over. I think he plays a lot of football this year.
What do you think, Nick?
I think that he, honestly, if I was a free agent quarterback, I would not want to sign with the Bears. This is the second time that this has happened. If he can't beat out Andy Dalton, I'm not saying that I'm expecting it to be week 1, but if Andy Dalton struggles, Justin Fields should be ready to go and probably provide a better look. So, okay, Andy Dalton starts week 1, but, how long until he falls off the wagon and they start seeing what happened with Mitch and Nick Foles last year. So we'll see what happens. I say over because I think it's going to be around like 10 games that he actually plays.
Okay. What do you think, Leo?
I think I'm going to take the over as well. I believe that Justin Fields will start week 2. I believe that, you traded the Giants to get Justin Fields. I don't believe Andy Dalton will be the starter. I think Justin Fields will be the starter. They may look, bro, we traded all this for you. You're starting. I believe that, and we'll see. We'll see week 2 when Justin Fields takes the field.
I'm going week 1. Just give it to me. I mean, if he is everything that he says he is, like, is as sold as advertised or whatever, he should be the guy. Nick Foles, Andy Dalton, he should be the guy. I mean, like Emron said, him and Andy Dalton are coming in at an even playing level, not knowing the playbook, not knowing the system. Nick Foles has the advantage. I don't think any of us are expecting Nick Foles to be the week 1 starter. They told Andy Dalton he was the QB1. They did this. They're going to make it, make the kid earn it, quote unquote. But at the end of the day, he's going to be the week 1 starter because, like Leo just said, we moved up for him. Him and Dalton are coming in and even playing field, like Emron alluded to. If he's everything that he should be the week 1 starter, in my opinion. I was saying before the show started, we went to the playoffs back-to-back years with Trubisky and Foles. Like, why wouldn't we, take a step forward, right? Why wouldn't we risk it right now with the defense that we have? Kind of similar to the 49ers, where we have the defense in place to make a championship run. We just needed that quarterback position filled and a level up there. I think Fields gives us that. Being able to, be mobile, the athleticism, obviously the accuracy. I mean, everyone knocks him for like the, hitting the first read. Well, all right, cool. Let's build a system around that. Let's do that. Knock on wood. Hopefully the Bears can answer the call and, build a system around them that's going to bring them success. So very excited about it.
The division might be wide open too.
Yep. Very excited about it. Let's move on to Mac Jones with the Patriots. Going up against Cam Newton, I mean, it can't be any easier of a battle as far as the QB1 that's in place. Do you guys feel that Mac Jones can be a week 1 starter? We'll start with Emron and go around.
Sure. I think he can, but I want to give Cam the benefit of the doubt. He is a former NFL MVP. He did get COVID last year, and prior to that offense was humming, right? They almost beat the Seahawks I think it was week 2 or week 3, came on the last play. So I'd say he's going to start probably earlier. I think probably in the first 4 games. Of course, Bill Belichick gets lucky. He doesn't have to trade up anything, right? He just gets to hang out at 15, lets him come to him. So I think I think Cam's probably going to start the year, but I wouldn't be surprised if Jones comes in I'd say 5-ish.
Ooh, wow. That seems late out for Cam Newton, in my opinion, but we got you there, Nick?
Yeah, I tried charging my phone and it took away the camera for some reason. Weak.
You want to jump in there? Mac Jones versus Cam Newton?
Yeah. So honestly, to Bill, this is like a pick that he can honestly sit on because he didn't give anything up for it, which is exactly the Bill Belichick move to do. He's just sitting there like licking his chops, like I got an all-American quarterback that kind of fell to me at 15. If Cam Newton doesn't work out, well, I'm going to be training him in the quarterback room. And it honestly could be a situation like Jimmy Garoppolo. And he actually has a guy that he wants that doesn't have a guy in front of him that's just like unmovable like Tom Brady.
Okay.
Cam Newton's almost kind of like expendable. So, if Cam starts struggling, they might just change up the complete offense and have a different style when they go to Mac Jones.
What do you think, Leo?
Yeah, I think Mac Jones is going to sit for the year. I believe I think that is Belichick's way. If you look at Jimmy G sat, of course, he sat behind the greatest of all time, Tom Brady. But you look at years past with Bledsoe and Tom Brady. Tom Brady came up when Drew got hurt. I think that Belichick's like, look, you're going to sit for a while. I think that Cam will be the starter, and then Cam will be let go, and then Mac Jones will take over the pace.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I said, it's the friendliest quarterback competition for any of these guys coming in. I have to give a little bit more upside to Mac Jones, and not being that big of a fan of his. It's it's still difficult because he is the last guy to fall there into that conversation of top quarterbacks in the first round. But at the same time, it's Cam Newton, and we still saw a lot of tape on Cam Newton last year. Dude's bad. He's just plain bad. I don't care what anybody says. Andy Dalton looked better than Cam Newton last year. Jared Stidham at times looked better than Newton, but not always. I mean, Stidham definitely made a lot of mistakes. I would definitely have Mac Jones ahead of him on the depth chart right now. That's for sure. But I don't know. I mean, like, it's the Belichick way. It's the Patriot way. It may very well be a situation where he sits for a while, but man, I hope it's not for the sake of losing games. That's for certain. I just feel like the weapons that they have there fit a very friendly West Coast sort of offense that I think Mac Jones could come in and take the hold of the reins of. And I don't know if it's necessarily going to be Cam Newton's bag because of the way that they were using him last year, with constantly with the read options and trying to get him to run the ball. I feel like with the weapons that they have now, they need a guy that can hit those easy, crisp passes, and I didn't see that from Cam Newton last year, COVID or not.
Yeah, but even, I mean, like you think that, well, because the season was crazy because of COVID and because of training camp and all that, do you still think that if it was like normal season, Cam Newton would have done better? Do you still think that he was not good?
To me, it was the decision making alone. There was a lot of just questionable, what was he doing right there? And Bill just seems so forgiving. Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand their relationship, but I just saw Cam Newton just make lackadaisical, just irresponsible plays, game in and night out, right? And Bill just come over, give him a kind of a Jason Garrett type of clap, pull him aside, give him a little talking to, and that was it. I don't know. I felt like he was coddled there, to be perfectly honest with you. So I don't love Cam Newton there long term. I feel like Mac Jones is obviously going to be the future. They did just spend a first round pick on him, and I feel like coming in, he's going to have the better arm and the better reads in this offense.
Yeah, I think Cam is no longer in his prime. He is closer to Jameis Winston than he is Tom Brady. And I just don't see him actually helping a team. It wasn't like he was in shotgun every single time and slinging the ball around like Philip Rivers did. He was in a triple option offense that was completely different than when Tom Brady was in. So Mac Jones is definitely more of what Belichick is looking for and what was actually a winning formula. I feel like Newton was kind of like an experiment, seeing if Bill can really unlock him, but he isn't the quarterback that he used to be.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. All right, before we move on here, Wilson and Lawrence, are they just going to be automatic starters? I have to assume so. I don't think there's any competition here.
Automatic.
Nope.
Okay.
All right, so easy peasy there. All right, next up we've got the Bengals, Falcons, and Dolphins. The Falcons selected Kyle Pitts, the Dolphins with Jalen Waddle, and the Bengals with Jamar Chase. Of these three teams, who elevated their offense the best with their selections here in the first round in the top 10 picks? Go with them, Ron, and go round.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm going to have to go with the Bengals. I love what they did with Jamar Chase, adding him in with T. Higgins and with Tyler Boyd. And if Joe Mixon can stay healthy, I like that offensive nucleus. And they addressed offensive line. They drafted 3 offensive linemen. Carmen Early, who's going to start right away from Clemson. The kid from ECU is probably going to slot into the guard. They also got a center late. So I love the depth that they added to the offensive line here. I would say the Falcons because I love Kyle Pitts, but unfortunately I think the writing's on the wall. Julio's probably going to be getting traded within the next month. I know that if they trade him after June 1st, they save a ton of money. So I'm excited to see him play because I think he's going to be a matchup nightmare. And for Miami, it's all on Tua, right? He has no excuses. He's got probably maybe the best supporting cast in the NFL. By all means, but it's just, can you unlock him?
Yep, absolutely. What do you think, Nick?
I'm going to agree with the Bengals upgrading their offense. They did need linemen, and, I've seen a lot of people have different takes on it. Whatever works. I heard that Joe wanted Jamar, which makes sense. The chemistry is already there. I think that, what AJ Green was, they're trying to recreate with Jamar Chase and have that elite number 1 guy that can definitely take over an offense. In Miami, I would say, but their wide receiver room is extremely crowded right now. They signed free agents that were wide receivers. And then, for me, it's who do they kick out? Really, for me, it's Preston Williams because he's often injured. He is electric, but he has a very short shelf life. And like Emron alluded to, it is all on Tua. Tua really has to open up his passing game for everybody to eat. Like when he was in, Devontae wasn't really eating, but when Fitzpatrick was in, Devontae was the number one receiver in the league. So if you can't do it with him, I'm not hopeful that you can do it with Waddle as well. So we'll see. It's all on Tua's shoulders though. So that's why I say the Bengals, because they already have Joe Burrow that can definitely keep the production going with that first round pick on Jamar Chase.
Right. What about you, Leo? Any love for Pitts there? I know that you actually hit on that at pick 4, right, in your mock draft?
Yeah, I actually hit on Pitts and on the mock draft pick, pick 4. No, I'm going to agree with everyone. Jamar Chase, he's explosive. He's the best receiver, I think, in the draft. I think that, I heard that Joe texted Jamar, was like, hey, pack your bags, get ready. I think that, Jamar Chase will bring that Ocho Cinco, AJ Green type of receiver to the Bengals. Pairing up with Higgins and the offensive line. I had the Bengals actually in my mock draft taking offensive linemen. I'm with Nick. Whatever works, do it. Burrow, you invested a number 1 pick in him 2 years ago. He needs a weapon. He got his boy from his college, LSU. I think they're going to be explosive. They're going to win some games.
Right on. I'm going to go with Jalen Waddle. I'm going to go oppo a little bit here, just because of kind of Emron pointed out a little bit there. It just put their offense over the top. There's so many weapons in that offense now. So you're looking at Devontae Parker, Will Fuller, Preston Williams, still like Nick mentioned. Now Jalen Waddle. You add Hunter Long along Mike Gesicki, second round pick, I believe, for the Dolphins. And then you have those running backs back there in, Myles Gaskin, Selvin Ahmed. They added Malcolm Brown. Not sure if that's, more of just like a, extra, just a little sprinkle on in that backfield. But I really like what they have working with down there in Miami. And Tua, it's all on him, sure. But they've given him everything that he could possibly ask for, everything he could possibly need. Very similar to Jamar Chase getting paired with his old quarterback. You got the same thing with Jalen Waddle and Tua. So maybe you get a little bit more of a connection there, a little bit more chemistry. So I like that pick a lot. I love it certainly more over Devontae Smith going there. I know that's what a lot of the the pundits were on during the draft. The Mel Kipers and et ceteras, right? So I was glad to see Waddle go over or Smith there. I think he's a great fit. Obviously bringing him back with Tua, and it, like we said, it puts the offense over the top. And we could see him actually featured right out of the gate, because Will Fuller, I believe, is it 2 or 4 games he has for PED usage? He has a suspension.
4. It's 4.
Yeah, so it's going to take a minute for Will Fuller to get the wheels rolling down in Miami. So I think Preston Williams obviously has a little bit more upside to start the year. Maybe you snag one of those guys in fantasy, and you can flip him in a redraft league pretty quickly. With the coming or returning presence of Will Fuller. So. Yeah, I certainly love Waddle there. Obviously, Chase is a great fit with the Bengals, and Pitts will be a home run with the Falcons, whether they run with Julio Jones or not. Obviously, his value will be a lot higher if they can move a Jones, and I'm not sure what they would necessarily get back. But the reason why I don't like Pitts as much as the other two is just because of Matt Ryan. Like, he just doesn't do it for me right now, and I think all of us were still having that feeling in the back of our heads that, hey, Atlanta might move on to a quarterback right here, whether it was Fields or Lance, but they went for the, win now type of weapon in Kyle Pitts. Obviously, he'll be a great prospect for the years to come, so it's still a home run either way. But, I still would have liked kind of see that little bit of extra upside for, them to have a good quarterback down the run here after Matt Ryan. So let's move on here. Oh, go ahead.
I have one question. So you're talking about Waddle, being, taking their offense over the top. So like, I'm just saying, what if they don't break like 20 points per game and they have like a 7-9 season? Do you think that Tua is like on the hot seat, or are they looking for like another quarterback?
Sure.
Because honestly, right now he's got to put up or shut up. Like,
absolutely. It was a very similar situation to Drew Lock last year, right? We were talking up all those weapons. He had a great sound running game in Melvin Gordon and Phillip Lindsay. He had depth at wide receiver. But what happened, right? You start getting injuries. Why I say this about Miami is that if they do get those type of injuries, the Preston Williams, the Devontae Parkers, you're still sitting there with Jalen Waddle, Will Fuller, Mike Gesicki. Maybe Hunter Long turns into a nice little, second half piece where they can, roll some stats into him. I'm not sure. And then obviously they have those sound runners back there that were reliable for them this year. So it's a great situation because it takes pressure off of Tua. It gives him that extra connection, obviously, with someone that he was playing with, and at the same level, it protects them from injuries. So I think it's it's a good fit for just the depth of the team, and puts them in a situation where if they are looking at an 8-8 season or whatever it is now with 17 games, 9-7, 9-8, whatever. If they're looking at that, they're still going to have those guys that are healthy pieces that kind of keep the needle moving. And I do think this will be a team that scores over 20 points a game, averaging over 24 to 26 points. They got a lot of weapons here. I think we should be excited about them.
And the other thing with the Dolphins too is if Tua doesn't step it up this year, they are absolutely loaded with draft picks. So if there's prospects in next year's draft where they like them, they have, I think, Niners pick next year, and then I think they have, their own pick in the Niners the following year. They have a draft ammo to move up and grab somebody if they want to. So they're in a really good spot. Imagine
if they somehow kept their heads in the Deshaun Watson discussion.
I think they are.
They still might. Still might.
Think about that squad with Deshaun Watson at the helm. Yeah, holy hell. My goodness.
Yep. That's way different. Deshaun Watson's proven in the NFL, and if you give him weapons, he will dominate. And if he ends up in Miami, honestly, they're talking about him might not be even playing in the 2021 season. So this might be like an audition year for Tua. And if Tua doesn't light it up, seriously, if Tua does not get Pro Bowl consideration, it's a failure to me because he is supposed to be. Yeah, they built around him. He's supposed to be electric. He has high draft capital in him. For me, it's all right, well, Deshaun Watson, if everything clears up, can definitely be an option and definitely just put that team on the map. That would be an automatic AFC championship.
Oh, absolutely. I'll throw another little caveat in there. What about Aaron Rodgers? If they don't trade him and he just retires, obviously Miami wasn't on his destination list. But if you look at what's there, right? Those guys show out this year. They put some positive production down on paper. Aaron Rodgers might change his tune and say, "Hey, I want to go down to Miami for a year, win me a Super Bowl."
Yeah, exactly. It'd be Dan Marino all over, man. That's exactly what that would be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, and where
you got to throw that in. All right, before we move on, be sure to smash the like button, share the video, and follow us on youtube.com/take it to the Hizzy. Let's go. Let's jump into some wide receiver talk here, the back end of the first round. We've got Kadarius Toney getting drafted by the New York Giants for the pick that they received from the Bears in their trade. Bears moving up. And then the Ravens selected Rashad Bateman. So where are you guys at here? Who had the better landing spot and who has the higher expectations coming into 2021? We'll start with Emron and go around.
Sure. I think the highest expectation is probably going to be for Bateman. I really do like Kadarius Toney, but that is a very crowded wide receiver room in New York. Galladay, Slayton, Shepard, you add in Ingram, right? And then Barkley on the backfield. So I just don't know how much production he's going to have when it comes to stats. I think he'll make an impact, but if you're going to be looking at numbers at the end of the year, I think Bateman is a big-bodied receiver. He's very athletic. I think he's a big playmaker. I think just what Jackson needs. So I think I like the Toney talent, but I don't think the fit it's just too crowded. So I'm going to go with Bateman.
Okay. What do you think, Nick?
The best fit out of those two is definitely Bateman. He's definitely going to be that number one receiver that everybody in Baltimore has been crying for. Thought we were going to sign one. What wide receiver would come to this kind of offense? It's like going to Georgia Tech when they had the triple option. I say that Kadarius Toney, there's really no expectation for him because he's coming in, and I think it's more higher expectations on Danny Jones. I think that, if you can't do something with these guys, then what is he doing in New York? They need to move on from him. And they've given him a shit amount of time, a shitload amount of time. So, yeah. And especially with all the turnovers. All his turnovers is it's not all interceptions like Jameis Winston, but he fumbles a lot. So, there's no expectations for me with Toney. If he does something great in New York, awesome. I think he's going to probably kick out Slayton in the room, but Bateman, he has high expectations. I think he's going to provide that possession route running receiver that the team needs. I did not want Kadarius Toney in Baltimore because you think about it, it's just like Marquise Brown all over again. You don't have that strong wide receiver to go to. It would really fall on shoulders of Mark Andrews, but he's a tight end. You want to have that for a wide receiver. So Bateman is my pick.
Okay. What do you think, Leo?
I'm going to agree with everyone. I think Bateman is the pick. I think that now Jackson has someone he can throw to, a big body receiver. I don't remember the last big time receiver in Baltimore other than
Bolden and Mason.
Steve Smith was my pick.
Oh yeah,
when they drafted, I think it's Mark Clayton, Michael Clayton, one of those Clayton years ago. But I think that Bateman is the guy. Tony, I believe that the Giants are okay, but I think that Daniel Jones is the problem. Like I believe that Daniel Jones will be traded by next year. And the Giants will be drafting a quarterback
by the trade deadline. Would you say by the trade deadline if it doesn't work out?
Who's going to take him?
I would say by the deadline. I would say that. I mean, any team who needs a quarterback that didn't draft one could take him. Like you never know. The Washington football team could grab him.
Hey, you don't say that about Fitzmagic, okay? He's going to do all right. He's going to have 17 games of play.
I'm going to go with Kadarius Toney. I got to go opposite a little bit here, give a little bit of difference. I just think that the volume of passing that the Giants have versus the Ravens, the Ravens should be able to take a step forward, get some more passing attempts, kind of flip that percentage as Nick always talks about, right? But at the same time, you're just looking at a Daniel Jones that actually has more completions by the year than a Lamar Jackson. The offense is just more pass friendly. And I think it's going to become even more so, obviously, with the return of Saquon Barkley. That's what he did very, very well. When teams shut him down on the offensive line, they would pass him the ball and they'd keep the chains moving, right? I think that he lends a lot more opportunity for their West Coast style of play. I think Joe Brady will have some creative things set up for him. And I do think that he will have a better year than Darius Slayton. I do think that he's going to, early on, give it weeks 4 through 6, he's going to start plugging in a lot more on, snap share. Maybe one of those guys gets hurt. Kenny Galladay, Sterling Shepard, even Darius Slayton, they all have a little bit of, injury history, right? So I think there's some upside for him there. I think it's just as crowded, I think, for Bateman in Baltimore. We've already talked on Mark Andrews. We've talked up Sammy Watkins in recent weeks on this show. Obviously, Marquise Brown is still there. And Harbaugh is a guy that's going to give playing time to the workers like a Miles Boykin and Devin Duvernay, the guys that have been there still that have been, earning the time, right? So he's one of those coaches that is going to make you come in and earn it. And also, let's not forget, Tylan Wallace got drafted to this team, right? So there's going to be another, decent, wide receiver in that room with him. I think Tylan Wallace is a pretty good piece and a good grab for them deep in the draft. I think that those two are going to be competing against each other to get on the field. Obviously, Bateman has a lot more upside to do so. I've said on the show before that I feel like he's one of the better receivers in this draft. But the landing spot, it may have been a little bit more favorable, if he landed somewhere with, just more passing volume, right? So I'll go Kadarius Toney just to give a little opposite take there. You guys got anything to close that one out with?
With how crowded the wide receiver room is, I think they're going towards a more balanced offense because the numbers were so stark. And
the Ravens, right?
Yeah, the Ravens.
Yeah.
And I'm perfectly okay with giving time to the workers like Miles Boykins, because that means that we're getting more passing offense going. And this is how the league shows how it wins. The triple option was cool for a year, it got an MVP, but you got to kind of get away from that because it's so easy for NFL defenses to plan for it. It's way harder to spread out the defense and actually have them cover ground instead of having everything so congested. So, we'll see what happens, but I hope that at least we go to a little bit more of a balanced offense.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, so let's move on to Travis Etienne versus Najee Harris. Travis Etienne landing with the Jaguars. Very questionable landing spot there. Not sure what the Jaguars are doing there with all that depth they have at running back. And then you got Najee Harris going to the Steelers. We'll start with Emron and go around here. Who was the better landing spot? Who do you like more? And what do you think about that pick from Etienne and the Jags?
So I think Najee Harris is in a much better spot because I think he's going to be the lead back, right? They got rid of James Conner, and I think he's just very versatile. That offense is going to run through him. Travis Etienne, I love his talent. I love the explosiveness he brings. I know he's with Trevor Lawrence, but I don't understand that they're spending a first-round pick on a running back when James Robinson had a fantastic rookie year, right? Undrafted guy, 10, 12 touchdowns, 1,300 total yards. He had like 60 catches too. Like he's a great weapon. You lucked into him, and you waste a first-round pick. And I'm not saying waste because that team has a lot of other needs. They could have beefed up line, beefed up defense. I just didn't get it. I mean, it just I don't know if they were catering to Lawrence or what it was, but that. And they also signed Carlos Hyde in the offseason. So like, what are you really doing?
Hated it.
Yeah.
What do you think, Nick?
I hated it. I was not happy about it. I'm really sad for James Robinson. That guy has worked his butt off to a very respectable, season. And a lot of people, in like Dynasty and stuff were like real pumped up about him. It sucks that Trevor Lawrence or Urban Meyer wanted to go for the big name running back. Dude, it's all about production. He showed that he was able to produce in the NFL. Why spend that kind of draft capital on him? I like Najee Harris a lot more to the Steelers. I think Najee Harris fits exactly what the Steelers like history of running backs. That was the guy I really wanted to go there. I did not want ETN to go there. So I'm more excited for Najee Harris, even though he's going, we'll be going against my Ravens in division 2 times a year, but means I'll be able to see him. But screw ETN. It's nothing against ETN. It's more about the guys who made a decision. But it's kind of hard to cheer for somebody that got drafted to replace someone who was already successful. Washington did that to Alfred Morris, and that kind of broke my heart a little bit. They kind of took away his chance, but whatever. It's the NFL. It's cutthroat, but I know a lot of teams would definitely take James Robinson on their team if they were willing to trade him or something. If they were just like so enamored with ETN, but yeah.
What do you think, Leo?
I love that pick. To be honest with you guys,
okay.
I think the Jaguars they're like, look, we had the number 1 pick. We drafted Trevor Lawrence. We have another pick in the first round. Get Travis Etienne. Get him. He's Lawrence's boy. Travis Etienne's explosive. The Jaguars are just, they're like, look, maybe we can spread them out, have Robinson and Travis together, throw it on each one, score a lot of points. I like that. I think that, the Harris pick is obvious pick. I saw a lot of people's drafts, and I saw him going to the Steelers. He's a obvious starter in Pittsburgh, but I love the Jaguars. I like their go out on a limb. Let's try this, see if it works.
I didn't really love it. I felt like the Jaguars should have continued to build around him and maybe grabbing another receiver, whether it was offensive line or just grabbing defense. I mean, this is a team that could have drafted, Pat Freiermuth. Obviously they're still scouting Tim Tebow at tight end. Not sure what we're going to get there. But I just felt like it was kind of just a rich pick. It was just really rich. Like you're just, you're not cheating by any means, but you're just trying to, I don't know, just go over the top with running back position. I think that at some point they are going to have to trade James Robinson. I don't think it'll be this year, but you're going to want something for him. And I don't think that they're going to sign both of them long term. I've heard the comparisons of, Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara and combinations like that, but I don't think any of us are buying that that's going to happen, like that's going to take off. I have to imagine that James Robinson has some sort of chip on his shoulder after this. And man, Devine Ezigbo is mad at the world. He's just yelling at everybody. Okay, that dude can't be happy, that's for sure. So yeah, I don't love it. I just would have preferred for them to get some more depth pieces and continue to build this team to make it, more win friendly, more win now friendly. And I don't think ETN does that. I think that he could take off at the back end of this year, but it's going to be at the means of, or at the disrespect to James Robinson, I should say.
Urban Meyer was getting his guys in. He just wanted to bring his guys in. He didn't sign nor draft James Robinson. It's stupid. Like he wants to have that GM ability in the NFL, and we've seen how that really doesn't work unless your name's Bill Belichick. So that's kind of how I feel about it.
Do you think that Robinson has a lot of value if they look to trade him?
Hell yeah. There'd be somebody take a young running back. He's got a chip on his shoulder. He wants to prove the world that he is actually a better running back than Travis Etienne. There's no way that he doesn't think that, oh man, like Urban Meyer thinks that, this rookie's going to come in when I had like 1,600 yards last year. Like,
Right.
I would be real angry about it, to be honest. But, that's the NFL, and that's how you breed competition and a culture of, next man up. So, even if Etienne gets hurt, Robinson's right there. So that's always the possibility. But it just blows. We're not going to see James Robinson, be the lead back in Jacksonville.
Just not have that just crazy volume that he was getting this past year.
Yeah. And then the thing with running backs too is I guess you got to define what value is, right? I mean, I wouldn't be expecting like a second, third, or fourth round pick for him. It's just because where did they find James Robinson? He was a UDFA. So it's just an unfortunate position of the running back position getting devalued.
Right, absolutely. All right, let's move on. Top of the second round here, we got Elijah Moore going to the Jets and Javonte Williams going to the Denver Broncos. Who's got the better landing position? We'll start with Emron.
I really like Javonte Williams in Denver. I think they're going to really focus on the run this year. Melvin Gordon's already there, but I think it's going to be similar to how they had Philip Lindsay and him last year. I think he's going to get ample time to get the ball. I do like the pick of Elijah Moore for the Jets because a lot of people thought he was a first-round pick. Him falling there, pairing him with Zach Wilson, and they already got ABT in the first round. That's going to be pretty intriguing, but I'm going to go with Javonte Williams.
All right. How about you, Nick?
I'm going to go with the Elijah Moore because really you kind of got like another target and another weapon. It seems like they're kind of like leaning a little bit more towards the pass. Obviously with Zach Wilson being drafted, but they needed a quarterback anyways. But drafting a wide receiver, they're kind of like showing their hand that they're going to be a little bit more high flying this year. So I like Elijah Moore more.
Fair enough, pun intended. What do you got, Leo?
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Nick. I like Elijah Moore. I believe that the Jets are like, look, we drafted Wilson. We are gonna pass the ball more to Elijah Moore. So I think I like Elijah Moore in that situation.
Okay. All right, gotcha. I'm going to go with Javonte Williams. I mean, people have talked about him being the best running back in this class. The running back competition for the Denver Broncos is very, very thin. You're looking at, what was it, Melvin Gordon, Mike Boone, Royce Freeman. Like, he can leapfrog those guys at any time. I think he's going to be great on third down situations. If Melvin Gordon gets hurt, he's going to be a steal in redraft fantasy. I think a lot of people obviously already target him in Dynasty, but it's actually one of the better running back positions other than Najee Harris, in my opinion, as far as a landing spot, because the competition is just so thin. It's still going to be tougher for Etienne to get snaps over Robinson right out of the gate. I just feel that, somewhere down the line, Etienne's just going to have a huge share. So I like Javonte Williams over Elijah Moore there. Elijah Moore, you still got, Mims from last year. You got Corey Davis coming in. You got Jamison Crowder. And then obviously just a young, questionable, quarterback in Zach Wilson. Not really sure what we're going to get from him right out of the gate. So I think Javonte Williams is sitting pretty there in Denver. What do you guys think about Pat Freiermuth going to the Steelers? We got a new Heath Miller on our hands here. Go around.
Oh, go ahead, Nick. You're fine.
Yeah, because I wrote an article last year about how Eric Ebron was going to be unlocked. Those hands are just stone. He did come on a little bit stronger towards the end of the season. He is extremely athletic, but he just doesn't have the consistency needed for a Steelers tight end. I think that they're willing to see what the Penn State tight end can do for Freiermuth. Honestly, before Ebron was drafted, I wanted Gesicki to go to the Steelers because I saw him at Penn State and he was electric as hell. So I'm kind of glad that they're kind of like, giving another receiving option there for them in the tight end room. And I think that there is a possibility that, could be another Heath Miller, but I don't want to put that expectations on him right now. That's kind of intense. Heath Miller was a very good tight end for sure. Yeah.
Right. What do you think, Cameron?
Yeah, so I think I like the fit. I thought he might go to the Jags in my mock draft. I think he's going to get in the middle of the field. He's going to be a nice target. I was just kind of concerned with the Steelers' first two picks, going with Harris and Freiermuth, because I thought their O-line could have used some help, and there was so much O-line talent all over the place, and they just felt like they could address that sooner. So as long as Ben has time, I think giving him more weapons is great, but I feel like they could have gone another direction. I love the player, but I think the team could have gotten more value somewhere else.
I was surprised they went offense as well. What do you think, Leo?
I'm going to agree with Imran. I think that, I think the Steelers should have drafted offensive linemen first because they need help. I believe that Pat will be good, but as long as Big Ben has time and really at time, who knows? But I think that, it was kind of, I think that, the Steelers should have drafted offensive linemen. Maybe he could have fell to a later pick. Who knows? But I think, the Steelers should have addressed the offensive line ahead of time, knowing that you drafted a running back. So it's like, you need someone to help out that front line, help out Ben. Who knows how long he's going to be there? Who knows? But I think, I like it, but I think that, they should have went offensive lineman first, wanting a tight end.
All right, so they did follow up the Freiermuth pick with Illinois Garden center Kendrick Green and Texas A&M offensive tackle Dan Moore Jr. So they did shore that up. The two next upcoming picks after the Harrison Freiermuth pick. But I think it's a good grab for the value. I feel like we all had him going in that space anyways to the Jags. If the Steelers feel like they're going to get a lot of years out of this kid, I'm all for it. And right out of the gate, I like the pairing with him and Eric Ebron. It's not like you're coming in and asking him to be the starter or anything like that. It's not like Kyle Pitts where the dude should be in there on every snap to start the season. So yeah, I really like the pairing to start his young career in Pittsburgh. All right, let's move on. We got some late second round wide receivers. Want to hear your favorite landing spots of these four. We got Rondale Moore going to Arizona, Dwayne Eskridge going to Seattle, Tutu Atwell to the Rams, and Terrace Marshall Jr. going to Carolina. We'll start with Emron and go around.
So I think I'm going to probably go with Terrace Marshall Jr. I think he's going to start to settle in Carolina. They've done something that the Jets never did in one draft, which is surround Sam Darnold with some talent all over the place. So I think that offense is going to be fun to watch, and he's a big body receiver. He's got good speed. So I really do like what they have there. Rondale Moore is second for me. I think in Arizona, I think they were hoping. I think they would be getting more out of Christian Kirk by now. So I think he's going to slot in well. And that pass, we all know Cliff Kingsbury wants to air it out. So that's a guy that's a close second for me.
What do you think, Nick?
I'm actually going to go Terrace Marshall because, Rondale Moore going to Arizona, it sounds good on paper, but honestly, Kyler Murray can't see over the line. And it seems like Cliff Kingsbury plays Madden and just tells him to throw it to X, throw it to Y. And a lot of times it's Y, which is DeAndre Hopkins. I feel like it's really about play calling that has held back Christian Kirk, and adding another wide receiver to what I thought was going to be more of a four-wide system. I saw some tight ends developing towards the end of the fantasy season with them. I was trying to, play that game a little bit with them. But Terrace Marshall, there's opportunity there to have production because Curtis Samuel just signed with Washington. So there is a spot for him to fill. I think that is a steal for them where he did fall. I'm not really sure why he fell because I saw him going, in the same realm as Rashad Bateman in those picks and Kadarius Toney. So I see that being a steal, and I see that, paying some value for Carolina.
Right on. What do you think, Leo?
I think that Rondale, I'm agree with that one. That the Arizona Cardinals, I believe that they got a great pick out of him. I believe that yes, Murray is a short quarterback, but he has a great arm. I believe that they're going to air it out with Hopkins helping him out. I believe they're going to air it out. They're going to be explosive.
I'm going to go with Rondale Moore as well, just because I think every one of those receivers for the Cardinals is going to get hurt. Christian Kirk, AJ Green, and then you're just sitting there with Hopkins and Rondale Moore at some point during this season. Those guys all have a history of getting banged up. So yeah, I'm going to go Rondale Moore. I think it's a great piece. As far as line of vision and things like that, I'm sure they'll clean it up. I see a lot of those throws from Kyler Murray where he may not be able to see where it's going, but he still gets it there. So he does have something special there in the tank. And I still like him over a guy like Andy Isabella, Keyshawn Johnson, who have been there, like those kind of up and comers. So yeah, I feel like AJ Green or Kirk will get hurt at some point, and you're going to be looking right there at Hopkins and a Rondale Moore pairing. I really like it. Terrace Marshall, for the value that the Panthers got for him, is really good. I mean, to get him after Dwayne Eskridge and Tutu Atwell, in this draft, I feel like is great. I feel like he should have gone ahead of potentially all three of those guys, really. But the landing spot with Carolina, it's also really crowded with the targets with McCaffrey. We saw those wide receivers get a lot of targets this year because McCaffrey was hurt, and we may see some of those numbers dwindle a little bit. So I feel like it's a great assurance pick to play behind DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson. We'll get to, I think they drafted Tommy Tremble out of Notre Dame as there's not going to say they're starting tight end, but probably going to compete for it. So I do think that he's, probably has more upside to catch more passes than him, but more of like an assurance pick behind those guys.
I got nothing against Kyler Murray. He's a very good quarterback to be able to do what he does because there's almost like a foot between them. You know what I'm saying? But he is the perfect quarterback. He does make the throws when it is needed. But I feel like it just kind of limits like his decision making, and with DeAndre Hopkins being the clear number one receiver there, not being able to go through progressions like a normal quarterback can hinders your second and third and fourth wide receivers. I mean, the Cowboys, they had like 4 and 5 guys having 100-yard games, and it's just because they were able to go through the progressions. So, with how crowded it is in there, Rondale Moore's definitely going to see time, but there's just a lot of mouths to feed. So that's why I say more Terrace Marshall, because they got Sam Darnold now. And I think they're kind of leaning a little bit more towards passing, because with Christian McCaffrey, he has the ball a lot of times in his hand. I would be trying to get him more like 120 receptions and take down his rushing load, because it is scientifically proven that catching a pass takes less damage than actually running the ball. So that's how I would try and lead that offense and try and move to keep Christian McCaffrey a franchise piece for years to come, instead of having like 3-4 year shelf life.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's move on to quarterbacks here. We got a nice little run on of them. We got Kyle Trask going to Tampa Bay, Keelan Mond going to Minnesota, and Davis Mills going to Houston. Which one of these guys, received the best landing spot here? We'll start with them, Ron, and go around the horn.
So I guess in terms of actually being able to play right away, probably Davis Mills, because, with Deshaun Watson, we have no idea what's going to be happening. A lot of people are saying he's probably not playing this year. So Mills, he got a lot of hype, but, it's a rough spot to play. But of the three, I'd say my best fit long-term would probably be Kellen Mond, because I think he gives the Vikings some potential and some hope. Because we all know what Kirk Cousins is, right? He's going to put up great stat lines, but in the big games, he's going to crumble. Mond's very mobile. He's got a rocket arm, and they have some weapons. They have some weapons there that are intriguing. And then Kyle Trask, I don't know when he's going to play. Brady might play till he's 50. His contract may run out, and Brady might still be playing, so who knows?
What do you think, Nick?
Kellen Mond is my pick, because Trask is he's going to be like a Jimmy Garoppolo in Tampa, basically. Like, that's what it is. Davis Mills, he's probably, if Watson doesn't play, Davis Mills is going to be thrown to the fire and sacrificed for this year. And Kellen Mond is just going to be sitting there, learning the offense, seeing how these offensive weapons work. And, if Kirk Cousins starts to have trouble, I mean, there's no reason why I don't see Kellen Mond couldn't come in. I think he was very pro-ready. I saw a lot of NFL throws that he made in the college game, and that kind of gave me confidence. I'm kind of surprised he fell to 3, but there was just so many higher names that coaches and teams wanted. But he's a steal, and he'll definitely be a great transition from Kirk Cousins.
All right, what do you think, Leo?
Yeah, I think Kellen Mond will be the guy. I was surprised that Minnesota drafted a quarterback. I was like, oh, is Kirk Cousins not your guy? Is Kirk Cousins going to be gone soon? But and Mills, I think Mills will be thrown into the fire. I believe that this pick was just waiting for next year's draft for them to get a quarterback, the Watson trade, whenever that happens. I feel bad for Mills, because it's like, you are thrown in here. We don't know if you're good or not, but we just need a quarterback right now, and we are looking to get the first pick next year. You're just holding a spot. So that is my take on that.
All right, yeah, I'm going to go Mond as well, just because as far as like quarterback production, one of these guys gets into play, I'm going to say that he would have the best production. Trask is in a great situation where if the quarterback goes down, I mean, they could still make a playoff run with him. You guys agree with that or no?
I think
with the rest
better.
of the weapons they have in place.
Yeah, I think it's better than what they had because the more I thought about this pick, it made sense because if Brady ever gets injured, right, they were screwed. All they had was Blaine Gabbert.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So he's been definitely better than that. So I think hopefully if Brady, hopefully he doesn't get hurt, but if that happens and he's out 3 to 4 games, I definitely think with all those weapons he has, I think he can easily at least manage the game and make it really easy for him.
Yeah, absolutely. You got Rojo back there, Leonard Fournette, Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rob Gronkowski, OJ Howard, Cameron Brate. Like, it's a great situation. Don't get me wrong, Keelan Mond is pretty solid too, right? You got a young Justin Jefferson, reliable Adam Thielen, reliable Dalvin Cook, right? You got an up-and-coming Irv Smith. I love it too. They're just not built the same as the Buccaneers are on both sides of the ball, right? Like if Trask came in, I would still suspect this team to still be a playoff team, with Tom Brady out of the lineup, the way that they're built. And I feel like that's exactly what they've done. It's not an accident that all these, players have flocked down to Tampa, right? I think that they still believe that they're a championship team even without Tom. Obviously, Tom adds a lot of factors, all the leadership, right? Getting in people's faces, the late night text messaging and all that, really getting, everybody hyped up, feeling like, hey, it's just going to happen. But I feel like they got a really good assurance in Trask. And I felt like the Mills pick was just kind of in the moment, like, oh shit, we just lost Trask. We just lost Mond. Let's take Mills right here because who knows what we're going to have available to us on the way back. I felt like Mills honestly could have gone around later. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
It was a freak out move.
I totally
agree. Yeah. The quarterbacks went pretty close together. Mills was getting a lot of weird hype. A lot of people were excited by his potential, even though he had the minimal starts. So I think he went probably in the right neighborhood-ish through 3rd, 4th round.
All right, very good. Well, let's wrap up that conversation and move on to guys that we liked in the middle of the 3rd round. Just name, a couple of guys that you liked, their landing spot. We'll start with Emron and go around the horn here.
Yeah, so I wanted to say, Amari Rodgers because the Packers finally took a receiver, but I have no idea who's going to be trying him. So sorry, buddy. But I think I really like Anthony Schwartz going to the Browns. They had a speedster from Auburn, who I think is just great for that offense with Odell Beckham coming back healthy this year. I think having another guy that can, kind of be that deep threat to kind of open things up for the other receivers and for the running game, I think that's a sneaky good move.
All right, I like it.
I like Ben Cleveland, the Bear that was drafted by the Ravens. He's a really good pick right after drafting Bateman because it shows that, hey, you needed a number 1 wide receiver, but, your offense is probably going to rush a little bit more than the normal NFL team. Ben Cleveland is a huge human being that will be perfect for Lamar Jackson to hide behind and to be protected from. So I love that pick. It was pretty much a home run. I'm hoping Marshall Yanda, that's what I'm hoping for from him.
All right. What do you think, Leo?
I like the Trey Sermon pick to the 49ers.
You stole mine.
I like that pick. Ohio State running backs are amazing. I'm not, I'm not a Cowboys. I love Ohio State on running backs. I think that he's going to fit great with the 49ers. He reminds me of another Frank Gore for them. Like he can, a couple seasons he will take over and he will be the starting running back for the 49ers.
All right. Well, you took mine, so I guess I got to go. Hunter Long for the Dolphins. They got a nice little depth piece at tight end. I think a lot of people are talking about them landing Kyle Pitts. He's going to slot in right behind Mike Gesicki, so I think that's a good pick for the depth chart. Trey Sermon of the 49ers was a really solid one for me. And I really like the tight ends that went to the Panthers and the Chargers in Tommy Tremble and Trey McKitty. Again, really just good for the depth pieces. Obviously, you have guys there. But the Panthers, obviously, there's a little bit more upside for Tommy Tremble than there is Trey McKitty, who's going to be behind Jared Cook in Los Angeles. All right, so let's move on here. Going into the 4th round. Emron, we'll start with you. Your favorite landing spots for guys in the 4th?
4th round, I'd say my favorite was probably Michael Carter, running back from North Carolina that went to the Jets. The Jets, all the offensive weapons they had, they've never really had a running back take that role. They tried Le'Veon Bell, it just never worked out. They cut him. I think Frank Gore was their most productive guy last year. They have a hodgepodge of guys there with Ty Johnson, Michael Pirine, and Tevin Coleman they just signed. Carter was very explosive in college. Him and Javonte Williams had a great 1-2 punch at North Carolina. So I think with this young offense, I think probably I'd say around the middle of the year, kind of like what happened with DeAndre Swift last year. I think he's going to take over as the the lead running back. So that's probably my best fit.
All right. What about you, Nick?
My favorite pick is Amon-Ra St. Brown. The St. Browns are crazy. They their father was like a bodybuilder. It's Equanimeous St. Brown's younger brother. I feel like USC's wide receivers kind of like their athletic ability is like very high. But I think because of the unsuccess of USC compared to other years, I feel like they don't get enough run. But I kind of like him because he did make a lot of electric plays at USC. And I think that if you get him in space, you can definitely do some damage. So, they lost Kenny Galladay and then drafted Penny Sewell. So getting Amon St. Brown, I think is a good pick. Not saying he's going to replace Kenny Galladay, but it shows that, hey, you saw that you had a need and there's a guy that I think is a good value for this round.
Right. Yeah, I love it. What do you think, Leo?
I like the Ian Book pickup from the Saints.
Hey, some Notre Dame love.
Here we go.
I liked him only because I think that the Saints right now with the Breeze retiring, why not? Why not? Jameis.
They need somebody, right?
In the lineup, you have Taysom Hill, but the Saints, it's like we can grab a quarterback in the 4th round. Sean Payton is a guy who can develop a quarterback very well, and that he will fit well in that system. You have Kamara, you have the wide receiver. I forgot his name. I was going to say Colson, but he's
Michael Thomas.
Michael Thomas, that's what it is. So I believe that Ian Book is it's the perfect pick for the Saints in the 4th round.
Yeah, it's a home run pick if you're still needing a quarterback. Maybe they felt like they missed on some of those guys in Mond and Mills. I am going with – I'll just pass it up. I'm sorry. Tylan Wallace. Referenced him earlier in the show. Ravens stacking up at wide receiver. Wallace was very productive at Oklahoma State. I think he averaged over 16 yards per reception there. So really highlighting his deep threat ability, being able to use his size, grab a lot of touchdowns. I just think just doubling down on the position is great for them. They'll get the best of whatever they can out of Tylan Wallace and Rashad Bateman. I think it could be a home run duo for some years to come here. Just got to get him onto the field. Just got to give him some opportunity. Let's go into rounds 5 through 7. Any home runs from some teams that you saw here? I'll go with Emron and wrap it around again.
Sure. I'll be a little bit of a homer. I'll go with Daz Newsome for the Bears, receiver out of North Carolina. I'll skip to someone else. I'll leave the rest to you.
No. Take Daz. I got backups. I'm good.
There's a couple I like. So Daz Newsome, I think receiver was a need for the Bears to add another body in there. He was graded as a 2nd to 3rd round player, and getting him late was a good pick for them in the 6th round. Made some terrific catches, so interesting to see where he slots in. Another one guy I wanted to mention was Brevin Jordan, tight end out of Miami that the Texans took. I have no idea what that offense is going to do, but usually if you're a talented tight end or an athletic tight end and there's a young quarterback playing, you're probably going to get a lot of looks and you're probably going to get some volume. So I think that could be another sneaky good addition.
All right, I like him.
2 of my favorites. It was actually Cade Stearns. That was a safety that went to the Broncos. He was touted as like a 1st round talent at the beginning of the season. Texas kind of fell off the map towards the end of the season. And they, their guys didn't exactly have like high pedigree. Like it's not like Texas when like Vince Young was there, everybody was getting drafted in the 1st round. But I like him for that value. And then also Sean Wade to the Ravens. Sean Wade also, I like that. I like him because he was also touted as a 1st round talent. It sucks sometimes that some of these guys fall like that after being touted like that. Sometimes it's tape, sometimes it's other reasons, sometimes other people just leapfrog them.
Sure.
But I like those 2 picks because of the value.
All right, right on. What do you got, Leo?
I had Newsom as my pick, but you guys took it. I love Shaun Wade. I was hoping that the Cowboys would get Shaun Wade. I know in my first, before I did this, in my first mock draft, I had the Cowboys getting Shaun Wade. He was
nice.
a highly intrigued cornerback. But I have to go with the quarterback from Texas, Sam Ellinger. He went to the Colts. I believe that Wentz, who knows? He might get hurt. I don't know how. The Colts have a spectacular offensive line, one of the best in the league. But if he gets hurt, Sam is right there to be the backup. And you never know. Sam could produce. He could be really good, and you have a quarterback for the future right there.
Yeah, they still have Jacoby Brissett, so it might be tough to leapfrog him right away. But I feel like it's a good match with Frank Reich. I think Ellinger kind of speaks to that. I don't know. Ellinger to me kind of seems like just one of those journeyman type of quarterback. He's going to come in and he's going to be like an awesome backup, kind of like a Colt McCoy. I don't know. That's just kind of what he speaks to me. Maybe it's the Texas connection. I don't know what it is. I don't know. That's my perception of him right now. But that's a good place to go because Frank Reich he holds those guys he holds them dear. So I think it's a good landing spot. The guys that I did have Daz Newsome as well. How about Jamar Jefferson for Detroit, running back out of Oregon? I think he's going to be a great fit there. Definitely a nice compliment to DeAndre Swift. And this is a team that's constantly struggled with, really hitting on running backs. So I think that's literally like one of the last picks I think in the draft. So I think that was a really good one. Kylan Hill, another running back to the Packers. I think that's a good steal. You got to replace some Williams production from last year. Larry Roundtree to the Chargers and Kenneth Gainwell to the Eagles. So really sticking with some running backs there. I think supplement options like guys that really need to come up the roster. I feel like that's going to be the pretty much the situation for most guys, good and drafted rounds 5 through 7. And with that, the undrafted guys who we'll move on to next. Who is your favorite undrafted guys? I know I had a couple of guys I was really sweating who didn't get drafted, and I was just on that Twitter, just hammering the refresh for a couple of these names here. We'll start with Emron. Who is a couple of guys that you saw that went undrafted but are now signed, and you like their landing spot?
Sure. So number one was Dylan Moses from Alabama. He was a 5-star recruit coming into Alabama. Unfortunately, he just dealt with some injuries. There's so much talent there. He just really wasn't able to get back to form last year coming off of a torn ACL in 2020, which led to him being undrafted, unfortunately. He did get picked up by the Jaguars. I think if he's healthy, I think that's an extremely good value for him because there's so much talent there. Second was Marvin Wilson, defensive tackle out of Florida State. Again, a run stuffer, a great person that can penetrate the offensive line and just be a disruptive force. And unfortunately, in this draft, defensive linemen just weren't really valued as highly as the edge and just the other positions. So he fell out of the draft, and he ended up on the Browns, who we'll get to our draft grades in a second. But that team just did a phenomenal job overhauling a lot of stuff that they needed to. So I love that pick. I think he's going to have a good impact in the defensive line rotation this year.
All right, sounds good. How about you, Nick?
I was really impressed with what the Jaguars did with the undrafted free agents. They got Dylan Moses. That guy was a first-round talent coming into the season. Linebackers, it kind of seems like unless you're like a Luke Kuechly, then you're not going to – it's a very high chance to fall down. And then Josh, I don't even know how to pronounce his name. It's Imator Orhebi. I believe he played at Florida. But he was very electric. Illinois. But yeah, he had some plays that kind of caught my eye. I was seeing where he was going to go, so I think that he could be a nice weapon that's undervalued by a lot of defenses.
All right. How about you, Leo?
I really like what the Cleveland Browns did on defense. They have Marvin Wilson, defensive tackle out of Florida State. I love the Browns, the way that they drafted, and with this and adding to the defense, which they need. So, I love how they're like, we're the Browns, we're back. Well, we're back from the dead, and you're not going to run all over us anymore. We're going to plant our flag in the field and make our name known. So I like what the Browns did.
All right, right on. Yeah, for the undrafted guys, I'm looking at like Puka Williams, Jarrett Patterson, just because I had them in Dynasty. Those were the names that I was sweating out. it's like following the 6th round, 7th round. I'm like, man, how are these guys not going yet? So I was glad to see that they signed. Hopefully they actually make it out of camp. Knock on wood. But yeah, those are a couple of running backs that I thought that probably should have been drafted. What was it? Also, Cade Johnson, Javian Hawkins, running back for the Falcons. I think that's a really good ad as well. And the Eagles grabbed Jamie Newman, quarterback, undrafted as well. I think all those are really good ads, for guys that realistically I felt like should have been drafted. So wanted to throw those in there for as well. The undrafted guys, obviously the draft getting a lot of hype, but some names did get forgotten. Let's move on, though. But before we do, please be sure to smash the like button, share the video, and follow us on youtube.com/take it to the Hizzy. Let's go. Next up, we're going to go through best and worst team draft grades. So we'll start with Emron and go around the horn here. What teams you felt did the best, or maybe just one a piece if you want, up to you. But who came out on top and who just really fell short for you?
So for the best, I'll change it up a little bit. I wanted to say Browns, but I want to talk about another team that I don't think we've talked about enough. I was the Giants. I thought they did a great job in this draft, getting some good value in Kadarius Toney and Azeez Ojari in their first 2 picks. Not only that, they have 2 picks in the 1st round next year, 2 picks in the 3rd round next year, 2 picks in the 4th round next year. So like we talked about earlier, if Daniel Jones doesn't get his shit together this year, they have a lot of ammo to move up next year. They still got some good weapons this year. And in terms of draft grades, I hate to kill a draft off one grade, but the Raiders are good on the Raider, right? Taking Alex Leatherwood where they did, when they probably could have got him in the 2nd round or later, and there was Christian Darrisaw still on the board. Like, what the hell are you doing, right?
Right.
Seattle, they just had 3 picks in the draft, so it's hard to do. I wish they were a little bit more creative and traded out and try to add more picks and help out their line, which I feel like we say that every year. So that was a team I thought they could have done more as well. And then last but not least, the Packers once again passed on a skill position player in the 1st round, right? Tons of talent available, but no, let's reach for Eric Stokes.
What is Mike Mayock doing in Las Vegas, man? Like, he is reaching for every person. Like, it is like, I felt bad that the graphic they showed for Leatherwood showed that like he had like an 89% chance of being available like past 66. Like, I felt awful, but like it shows how much he reached, and he just kept reaching. That was really disappointing. I actually really liked the Chargers draft. The guy that they drafted, Rashawn Slater, apparently he sat out, but his whole family's like basketball tall. Like, it was like he's really big, and then someone actually taller than him hugged him and like leaned down. I was like, oh my gosh, like, who is that? It was his dad. And then the way that he kind of like came on and was like, I got your back. I'm a technician. Like, I'm ready to go. Like, I'm ready to take on the world. I really like that. And then also getting Asante Samuel in the later round. I was very impressed with that pick. So I think that the Chargers had a great pick or a great draft, but the Raiders, Mayock, man, they got to cut him. They got to cut him. Like, I thought he was going to just cut him. Just be like, hey, you know what? It ain't working out. We're just going to move on.
We talked about it. Peace.
You're no longer a Gruden grinder. Like, I have nothing against Alex Leatherwood. Like, I thought he was really good before the season. He was actually graded really highly. It's kind of crazy sometimes that there's such a big drop like that from like actual draft to this, but it wasn't that he was bad. It was just like, man, he definitely would have been available later, and you could have addressed a little bit more need at the 17th. I think it was 17th pick that they had. You could have done a lot more with that. So yeah, disappointing with the Raiders for sure.
Well, yeah, Leo.
I really love the Cleveland Browns draft. Like, for them to get Greg Newsome, and then in the second round, you're going to grab JOK. Like, JOK was projected to go in the 1st round. I think that the Browns are finally getting it. They're finally like, hey, we're gonna hit. We're gonna get it. We have a coach now. We have pieces. We have ammo to do great in NFL. The team I was disappointed with was the Seahawks, only because they didn't have enough draft picks. I mean, they they could have traded more in the draft to get more on the back end. They could have been flashy and be like, hey, we want to trade down or up in this draft to get to get some more picks, but with just 3 picks in the NFL draft, it's like how you can't hit on that. So I think the Browns did awesome. The Seahawks not so good, only because of the draft picks. Not enough draft picks.
Mm-hmm. For my worst team, I'm going with the Rams. I really felt like they should have tried to build up the offensive line, and obviously this draft had a lot of depth at offensive line. They went Tutu Atwell, have a lot of depth at receiver. Ernest Jones, a linebacker out of Texas A&M. Defensive tackle Bobby Brown, corner, wide receiver, defensive end. The theme is fitting here. Where's the offensive line? They didn't build around Stafford whatsoever, and I was a little disappointed in that for a draft that had so many opportunities on the offensive line. And then for best draft grade, obviously you guys have named a lot of them. We've talked about the Dolphins quite a bit, so I'm going to go with Detroit here. Detroit, I felt like was a very balanced draft. Penny Sewell, obviously to protect Jared Goff. Love that. You really kind of gauge the room, with the rest of the division. The Bears, obviously, they're starting to go more run heavy with David Montgomery, Aaron Jones in that division, obviously Dalvin Cook, and they shored up with a couple of defensive tackles. And then, being able to get Amon-Ra St. Brown at the back end of the draft, also with Jamar Jefferson, just thought those were both home run picks. And for the value that they got them at, for the role that they can actually serve coming in right away, I felt like there was home run matchups for those guys. So those were my winners and losers. Let's move on. We're going into some team previews here, going with the Jets first. So I guess we'll just start off with Zach Wilson, who obviously we didn't touch a lot with at the top of the show. So what are our expectations for Zach Wilson in year one? Obviously, we're all in agreement that he's going to start probably every game this year. I'll go with this way first. Who gets more wins, Wilson or Trevor Lawrence? And any other expectations you have for Wilson so far since we drafted? What do you got, Imran? Go around.
For wins, I'm going to probably go with Lawrence, because I think his division's a little bit more manageable, playing the Texans twice a year.
Sure.
AFC East with the Dolphins, the Bills, and the Patriots, it's going to be tough to get some wins there. I think they're going to be they're going to be much more fun to watch this year with Wilson and have a better line of offense. But in terms of wins, that's probably going to be Lawrence.
Okay. What do you think, Nick?
I say that Zach Wilson has more wins than Trevor Lawrence. I think that Urban Meyer's going to run into some roadblocks coming from the college game to the NFL. Nick Saban failed as a coach in the NFL, but tore it up as a college coach. So, we'll see how that goes. Zach Wilson, for me, I mean, if they kind of like it's kind of sad. Like if they double their wins, they're at like 2 wins or 4 wins. Like it's really sad. So if they kind of are in the playoff hunt, maybe like a 500 season if possible. You can't even have a 500 season now.
You cannot.
But yeah, so 8-9, 9-8, whichever one like that. I'd be very happy with 9-8, but 8-9, sounds a lot better of a goal. He is going to make it a lot more fun, but I feel like Salah's going to bring some of that Shanahan zone offense and kind of take the pressure off Wilson to use his arm to have team success.
Okay. What do you think, Leo?
I'm going to have to go with Wilson as well. I believe that, the Jaguars and Urban Meyer are going to have a little bit of trouble. Urban Meyer coming from college, he's going to try that whole, Trevor, lets him do him this play. And I think that, in NFL, they're going to hit Lawrence pretty hard and, get him look, boy, this is not college anymore, So I think that, Wilson, I'm looking at probably 5 or 6 wins. I'm looking at Trevor maybe 5 wins. So it could be Wilson have one more win more than Lawrence does.
Oh, keeping it pretty close. Yeah, I think we're still talking about a couple teams that could be in the bottom 5 of the league still. If I had to put money on which one's going to take off over the other, I'd probably go with the Jags based off of what Emron mentioned about the division, and just there's a little bit more depth in the running game, right? And we'll get to the running game here in a minute. So I like that run game to also potentially help Trevor the same way, Nick alluded to the zone rushing attack that Salah could implement would help Wilson. I feel like he has some guys to lean on. Carlos Hyde, we also mentioned there too. Obviously, they're overloaded with talent for the running game, and maybe they add some more depth pieces in free agency. Still, we got a lot of veterans out there that still need some jobs, and that could be for both teams, right? So I'll go with Lawrence with more wins. My expectations for Lawrence, they're really not that high, right? I feel like he's going to make some of these receivers fantasy relevant. Am I going to be drafting Wilson in redraft leagues? Probably not. I won't really see the need to grab either of them early, because you're just going to wait and see. There's going to be better talent available, more reliable quarterbacks. If one of them were to fall into my hands, I'd probably want Lawrence, just because I feel like the system will be a little bit more friendly. I'm not really sure if Wilson, honestly, is going to be NFL ready. Minshew is down there in Jacksonville. I don't think he's going to be much competition to Lawrence, but Wilson has no competition, so he's just getting thrown to the reins regardless. We're going to see the peaks and valleys of him this year, and I feel like we're going to see more low points. So I'll go more wins for Lawrence over Wilson. What do you guys think about the run game here? We're looking at Michael P. Ryan, Ty Johnson, Tevin Coleman, and now Michael Carter. Are any of these guys favorable to you in redraft leagues or dynasty alike?
Nope.
Probably Carter. I think I'd take a late round flyer on him. I think he'll eventually kind of step above, be above.
Okay. Nick saying no?
No, not interested. I see a lot of committee happening. Tevin Coleman has, if Tevin Coleman is in a backfield, it's probably a committee. He just seems to can't take the lead role. Well, Michael Pirine, he was exciting at Florida, but I haven't really seen anything that's like, oh man, like he's definitely going to go. Ty Johnson is just kind of, a jag. He's just a guy right now. And I'm not excited about it. So I'm going to stay away from the Jets backfield. That's one thing that I'm not going to get any shares in any kind of dynasty or any fantasy this year.
Sure. What do you think, Leo?
Yeah, I think I'm with Nick. I'm going to stay away from the Jets backfield and running back. I'm fairly new to the fantasy world, so I think I'm going to take, Nick's advice. I think he's,
I went to the championship game last year, so I don't know. I might know something, but I just kind of watch football on my couch.
I think I'm gonna roll with Nick on that one, with not taking the Jets.
Yeah, I'd be interested in Michael Carter in Dynasty. I mean, this is a pretty early pick still. Second round, right? I got to imagine there's going to be some usage for him this year. Get him in the playbook, mix things around. In Dynasty, I think he's going to be a good grab, but it's really hard to tell with a Michael P. Ryan, because I just feel like we didn't get enough looks at him. Ty Johnson, probably a reliable third down back, probably going to be that guy for them, all this year. But I see Michael Carter having a lot of upside to come in and steal the show here. Maybe, down the stretch of this year, beginning of next year, could be really something coming out of that division. So we'll see. Let's see. Next up, we have the receivers. Looking at, Mims, Jamison Crowder, Elijah Moore. Am I forgetting somebody?
Your boy Braxton Berrios. Braxton
Berrios, should not be forgetting about the MVP of the Jets, Braxton Money Berrios. Emron, where's my $5?
I think Wilson's going to make these receivers at least hum a little bit better than last year. Really, last year was like the floor. It really can't get any worse than that, except not fielding a team. So I'm going to say that
Corey Davis. That's who I was forgetting. Sorry.
Oh, dang! I
knew there was somebody.
Davis. I should have known. I think having Corey Davis there definitely elevates the room. But everyone else, they're going to be able to get production. I see, at least 2 or 3 guys getting at least 40, 50 receptions and, a couple touchdowns, at least having some kind of offense to, put butts in the seats for the Jets and start building for the future.
Right. What do you think, Emron?
I like what the Jets are doing. I think because they have a new regime, and this was not the regime that drafted Sam Darnold. So they saw what happened with Sam Darnold. He got no line. He got no weapons. So they invested in offensive line last year, Mekhi Becton. They got ABT this year. They got more in the second round. They signed Davis in free agency. They drafted Mims last year. So I think they're doing a really good job of trying to have something, right? Trying to have a young line, trying to have a line to help out this quarterback. So I think there's going to be some potential. And I think with Wilson, he's also a very mobile quarterback. So I think there's going to be a lot of those off-script plays. The plays that might be broken, but he'll break contain. He'll get to the outside. The receiver will break open downfield. So he's got a lot of weapons that can, have the speed to do that.
What do you think, Leo? Anyone that's going to flourish with Wilson there?
I think Moore. He'll flourish with him because he's young, fast. Wilson's going to be throwing a lot. I believe. He's mobile. I think that Wilson's gonna look at him as like a fellow rookie as well. Go to him and be one of his favorite targets, and I believe they're going to be set. They're going to be good.
I think Jamison Crowder's certainly going to be licking his chops. I feel like he's going to be a target hog. We'll see if Wilson can connect with him. I feel like they got a lot of options there to start the year, certainly more than they have in years past. Obviously with the addition of Corey Davis, Jamison Crowder still being there, getting another year with Mims, and then obviously adding Elijah Moore, and then they added Keelan Cole. Braxton Berrios, still there. I don't know. They got no tight end. They got Chris Herndon and Ryan Griffin. Does Zach Wilson do anything for Chris Herndon, guys? Just yes, no. Keep it quick.
No.
Emron?
Sorry.
Lose Emron?
No, I'm here.
No.
No, there's no talent there.
What do you think, Leo?
No.
Yeah, it's a no for me too.
Material.
We were hitting props last year for like Herndon over 5.5 receiving yards, and we were hitting those unders. He was money. All right, just really quick, Jets over under 6.5 wins this year. Just keep it really quick around the horn here. Start with Emron.
Under.
Under.
I'll go under as well. So we're not expecting much from the Jets this year. Don't be going after Wilson unless you're playing some dynasty here. All right, next up we've got the Chiefs. Second place. If you ain't first, you're last. Looking at the Kansas City Chiefs, I think initially just out of the gate here, what are your expectations from the offense? Are they going to be the same, everything that they have been, take a step forward? And where are you targeting some of these guys in your redraft leagues? Mahomes, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. Start with Emron and go around the horn.
Sure. So I think the offense, it's no secret that they tried to add more weapons in the offseason. They tried to bring in Juju, right? So I think they do need another target. They have Hardman, Hill, and Kelce, and CEH out of the backfield, but I think they do need another receiver to kind of be a quality threat. So I wouldn't be surprised if they sign somebody or maybe make some type of low trade. Kind of funny if Julio ends up there, right?
That'd be wild.
Yeah, man. But I think in terms of rounds we're targeting, are we assuming like a normal, single quarterback 12 round for this discussion? Yeah. So I'd say Mahomes probably, round 3-ish or maybe late round 2. CEH last year was kind of worrisome for me, so I'd probably say 4 to 6 area. Tyreek Hill, probably round 1, round 2. Kelce, same thing, round 1, round 2.
Yeah, so really not that different from last year.
No.
The most valuable person to me on that team, fantasy-wise, is Travis Kelce. That man is consistent, game in, game out. Patrick Mahomes, I did the Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill stack last year. I regret doing that, even though I went to the championship game. They just didn't give me enough firepower of what I was expecting from them. I actually got more firepower out of like Justin Herbert week in and week out compared to Patrick Mahomes. I'm looking for more consistency so that I can stream other positions. I don't want my quarterback being, the wild card of that week. I need to know that he's going to definitely get 300 yards. And sometimes these games would get so out of hand. Sometimes he only throws for like 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Like that's not the kind of game that I'm expecting from Patrick Mahomes. So for me, I'm probably going to be targeting Kelce first round. If I'm at the end of the first round, he is definitely going to be my pick. I don't care if you guys know, I'm definitely taking him. And Mahomes,
Leo's going to snipe him from you. Be careful.
Yeah, it's fine. I got other players, but he's like my top guy that I'm like for sure. And also he pirouettes out of every catch. Like he pirouettes for 5 more yards. He avoids contact. Like he's got a very nice business model for himself. And then Hill is like 2-3, and Mahomes is like 3-4 because I got other quarterbacks that can definitely probably provide more point per game in fantasy for me than Mahomes. Mahomes will definitely have like a 50-point game, but it's not going to be week in and week out.
What do you got, Leo?
I think the Chiefs' offense will be a lot better only because the offensive line, they've upgraded the offensive line very well. I do believe that the Chiefs are the Chiefs. They're going to be, playoffs, high scoring, fun to watch. As far as fantasy, this is like my first year in fantasy. So, I would, from me reading up, that I would target Hill probably in the first round. Kelsey probably in the second round. Holmes later in the rounds.
Right, yeah. If it's not super flex, Mahomes isn't going in the first round. If it is, Mahomes is probably like a top 5 pick if it's a super flex league, if you're going double quarterback. But my expectations for the team are them to take a step forward, actually. Nick, you were talking about, some of those games where, Patrick Mahomes was Patrick Mahomes light. And I think that we're going to get back to a little bit more of normalcy where he is hitting more of those 300-yard passing games, especially if they don't add another running back out of like free agency. If they don't add like a journeyman, like an Adrian Peterson, I fully expect them to pass a lot more this year. Like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I'm sure the team wants him to take a step forward as a rusher because he certainly, peaked literally like week 1, and it was all downhill from there as far as like his rushing production. But at the same time, he doesn't look like that guy who's an every down back still, at least to me. I know there's a lot of people out there that make that argument that he is. I don't believe that he is. I think he's a second and third down back. I feel like he's not necessarily the guy that you want to rely on in the red zone. So I'm probably going to stay away this year from Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And I do want these other pieces like we talked up, like we do every year, right? And Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. And if I can get Mahomes at value, maybe even at the end of the second round in a swing in a single quarterback league, I may even pull him into that spot just because, you kind of really set the tone for that next go around before you have to come back to you. And obviously you want to try to leverage those swing picks as best as you can. So if you can throw the quarterback off the shelf, why not do it? Get ahead of the curve essentially. And this is going to be another year where we're coming in where we feel like, hey, there is a lot of talent at every position. Like running back is very rich. Wide receiver is very rich now. We have a lot of youth injected into this league, this draft and the previous draft. So I think a lot of people still hold high expectations for a lot of these younger players. And, maybe some of these cornerstones, from the Chiefs that have been super reliable in fantasy, start to, tread a little bit of ground in the redraft rankings. As far as like potential free agents, I alluded to Adrian Peterson. Are there any other guys out there that you could see signing with the Chiefs? I mean, this is, potential Super Bowl roster here, however you put it, even right now. So are there any other free agents out there that you could see land in Kansas City? Start with them, Ron, and go around.
I think running back's a position they'll look at, see what's out there. Peterson can make sense. I think they'll test the waters. I think potentially on defense, after what happens to Super Bowl, I think Richard Sherman, I think is still a free agent, right? Yeah, that could be a guy if he's interested in another run in a Super Bowl, being on the right side this time. That'd be a guy to keep in mind as well. You could always use more defensive backs.
I feel that the Chiefs are going to be more of a team that kind of waits and sees what happens throughout the season before they really start signing people. I think they're okay with not having a big name come to the team, but someone that's consistent, reliable, that can come in and fill in for a starter that's hurt. I see them being more that approach because Andy Reid really is happy with what he has, and he made the right moves in the draft to kind of, shore up what was wrong last year and why they lost. So I'm kind of expecting another AFC championship minimum. Super Bowl is not out of the realm of possibility for him.
Okay. Yeah, real quick, one thing I wanted to add, sorry about that. I just had this in my head and I just blanked, but they did just recently sign Jerick McKinnon, like last night. The Chiefs to add some more depth. I mean, he's a decent player when healthy, but he's missed a lot of time last couple of years.
Absolutely. What do you got, Leo?
Yeah, I can see a Richard Sherman signing with the Chiefs, but I can see him signing mid-season if they realize like, hey, our defense need help. I could see Sherman signing with them, but as far as that, I think they're set. I think they're good. AFC Championship, Super Bowl, normal Chiefs.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say Duke Johnson, and then you sniped in Jerick McKinnon there, so that's kind of tough to make that argument now. I like some of these offensive linemen that are still available. Alejandro Villanueva, Russell Okung, just grabbing some more depth pieces. And I was going to say maybe like a Duke Johnson, or maybe they bring back Le'Veon Bell on a friendly contract. There's not really too many like offensive skill positions that are, really highly valued out there right now as far as free agents. So maybe like a KJ Wright on defense if you want to bulk up the linebacking core. I wouldn't hate that. But you guys kind of, you nailed it there with the running back. I didn't realize they added Jerick McKinnon last night. So sniped. Can't really make that argument because they already have obviously Jarrell Williams. They have Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and if now they added McKinnon, I'm not sure if they would add another like Adrian Peterson or something like that. And I don't think there's really any upside for a guy like Alshon Jeffrey to get signed there either. It's just been a little too much wear and tear.
It would be Sammy Watkins all over again. Like he's there, he might catch a couple passes, but he's not going to be the main focal point. Right.
I could see maybe like a D.D. Westbrook or a Demir Bird or Kenny Stills, but I don't think that really moves the needle for anybody. I don't, maybe some people get excited for like some fantasy value. Oh, they got another guy that's not Mecole Hardman, So yeah, I don't really know there with the back end options available in free agency. We still have a lot to play out there. We'll wrap this up with over under 14 wins for the Chiefs this season.
Under.
I'm gonna go over.
What?
I'm gonna go over. I'm gonna go over as well. They hit 14 last year. They hit over last year. They had 13 last year, and we get one more game this year. So why not?
That's high expectations. That's losing 3 games only, and I don't know. They lost against the Raiders, and that was kind of like disappointing to me because I was like the Chiefs should be cleaning up everybody based on what they have. So I'm gonna say under because it's so high.
Yeah, the Packers have been 13-3 the last 2 years. I think the Mahomes and company can do it again.
Mahomes is a tougher division.
What's that?
Mahomes is a tougher division.
Sure. Like Nick said, they lost one of the Raiders. Like it's going to happen, here and there. But if you're looking at fourth quarter scoring, I'm sure that they're still going to elevate the defense a little bit more. And I can never count out Mahomes, so I'm going to go over. You get one more game, one more win from last year, I'll take it. High expectations, I get it. All right, cool. You guys got anything to close it out with?
Hold your doge.
Hold your doge. Going up.
Yep. Another week closer to the NFL. Next big thing is going to be schedule release on the 12th. Looking forward to that, seeing what games we're going to get to go to this year. It will be nice to actually go to games this year after losing last season. So excited for that.
Yeah, I'm as well. Hopefully we can film some Hizzy episodes on site, on location. It'd be a lot of fun.
That'd be cool. Thank you all for watching.
Yep. Leo, good having you on, brother. We'll get you back on soon. Everybody take care, be well, and if you can't be good at it. We'll see you later.
Later, guys.
See ya.